Good morning, my friends. Today is Thursday, May 21st, and for math, we're going to be just doing a review of our measurement unit. So you will see posted on the weekly schedule and posted here under classroom work, 3 short videos to watch. One is about length, one is about area, and one is about capacity. And the one about area does go into standard units of measurement and multiplication, where we multiply one row by the wide row by the long row and to get our answer. But they do show how we cover the whole area and count all of the blocks or count by fives as the case may be. So remember, we can measure with many things, and today we're going to do a little activity together. So I want you to pause your video anytime you need to answer your question. You will see that I posted a game set of questions called Scoot, and the questions actually look like this. You don't need to print the questions off. You can read them right off your computer if you're going to do it later, or you can do it with me. We're not going to do all the questions together. We're just going to do the first page of questions. You will need this board, or you will need a piece of paper that has the numbers 1 to 24 written on it, one on each row, or a whiteboard that has numbers 1 to 24 written on it, ready to go, so you can keep track of your answers. So when we're playing Scoot, it goes like this. Our first question says, when measuring how much water goes into a bathtub, which would be better to use? Letter A answer is a cup, and letter B answer is a bucket. So if you think the best thing to measure the water that's going into a bathtub would be a cup, you would write in the first box the number A, the letter A in capital, or on your line next to number 1, you'd write A. If you think it's a bucket, you would write B right here. Then you move on to question 2, and you write the answer for question 2 here, and question 3, and the answer for question 3 here. Or if you're using paper with just the numbers 1 to 24, beside each number, leave a finger space, and then put the answer that you think that it is. So when we're measuring how much water goes into a bathtub, we're talking about capacity. How much can the container, a bathtub, hold? And what would be the best size container to use to fill it as our measuring unit? So you get to decide. So then we're going to make some guesses and some predictions based on what we know about the size of things. So a pencil would be about how many paper clips long? Well, if you don't have a paper clip at your house, you might remember paper clips are about this big. And that might not help you unless I put beside it something you can tell. So if a pen is this big, it's about the same size as a pencil, and a paper clip is that big, then you could make an estimate or a guess as to how many paper clips long it would be. Would it be 10 paper clips long? Would it be 40 paper clips long? Or would it be 100 paper clips long? If you think it would be 10 paper clips long, then you write down on number 2 the letter A. Oh, you can't see that anymore. Number 2, the letter A. If you think it would be 40 paper clips long, you'd write down the letter B. And if you think 100, this would be 100 paper clips to get the length, then you would write down a number C on question 2. So I gave you a little sample there for what a paperclip to pen ratio looks like, so you can make that good guess. Question number 3 says, a coach wants to know how long his football field is. Which of the following should he use to measure it? Should he use a crayon to measure it? Should he use a new pencil to measure it? Or should he use his foot to measure it, where he could walk 1 foot at a time across the field? You decide which letter represents your answer, A for a crayon, B for a new pencil, and C for his foot, and write your answer down next to number 3. Number 4 says, a dog bone is about how many crayons long? So you have to imagine how big is a dog bone and how big is a crayon. I don't want you to actually measure these things. We're making estimates. So 20 crayons long for a dog bone, that'd probably be a pretty big bone. 40 crayons long for a dog bone, that's even bigger. And 2 crayons long for a dog bone, well, even the biggest dog bone might only be 2 crayons long. We're measuring length in these questions. Measure the length of your hand from your wrist to the tip of your middle finger in bottle caps. Now, you might not have bottle caps, so you go ahead and use coins or bingo chips or rocks or whatever's in your measuring kit that you have been using. And when you record your answer on your answer sheet under number 5, just write down what you used to measure. So if you used beads, write beads and tell me how many your answer is. Or if you used coins, write coins and tell me how many your answer is. So the length of your hand from your wrist to the tip of your middle finger. So that's this length here. Wow, the tallest part of your hand. Number 6 says, Molly wants to measure her dog's Spike, who is a golden retriever. How many marbles long might Spike be? So if you don't know what a golden retriever looks like, you might want to pause your video and do a little research. Google golden retrievers and see how big they are next to people. And then decide, would he be only 5 marbles long? Remember, a marble's only about that big. 50 marbles long or 200 marbles long? Anytime you need to, just pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and read the rest of the questions for you so you can follow along with me. You would write your answer down here, the A, B, C answer for which one you think is how many marbles long. Question number 7, if you haven't written your answer, pause. When Carly wants to measure the wingspan of her butterfly, which should she use? A butterfly. So a butterfly is about that big. What would be a better thing to measure with? A shoe, or B, a paperclip? Remembering that a butterfly is about that big. Write your answer down, letter A or letter B under number 7, A for a shoe or B for a paperclip. The best way to measure the wingspan, that's how wide it goes from wing to wing of a butterfly. If you're not ready to move on, pause. Otherwise, number 8 says, Sean has to measure the length of his bed for homework. Which of the following should he use to get it done the fastest? If he wants to measure the length of his bed, should he use A, a marble, B, a shoe, or C, a bottle cap? And then beside number 8 on your page, you'll write your letter A, B, or C for your answer. Pause if you need to anytime, and you can catch back up with me. I'm going to keep reading questions. Hopefully it won't make the video go too long, but it does mean that you don't need to stop and have another person read for you if you get stuck on some words. If this is boring for you and you have somebody you want to read for you, pause anytime and just read the questions off the computer. I will be posting them under classwork. So we're on number 9. Now we're still measuring the length of your arm from your wrist to your elbow, and that's from here to here, wrist to elbow. It says use Unifix cubes, but remember you might not have Unifix cubes at home, so use whatever measuring tool you have in your measuring kit and record the answer on your sheet. So when you get to number 9, you would write down beads or bingo chips or coins or dominoes, and then how many long it is from your wrist all the way up to your elbow. Good going, my friends. Number 10 says Snickers wants to make a new candy bar. They need to know the length of their current candy bar. How many pencils long might their current candy bar be? So imagine the size of a normal candy bar. How many pencils long do you think it might be? Do you think it would be A, 5 pencils, B, 1 pencil, or C, 10 pencils? Find number 10 on your page or on your lines and write your answer down, A, B, or C. Number 11 says, how many pennies long does a pencil measure? A penny's about that big. So is a pencil 100 pennies long? Is a pencil 3 pennies long? Or is a pencil 12 pennies long? A, B, or C. Find number 11. Sorry, my number 11 is way over here. And write down A for 100 pennies long, B for 3 pennies, or C for 12 pennies under the number 11 box for how long do you think a pencil is. If you need to pause or go back and hear a question again, go ahead and do that. 12 says measure the desk you're currently at using your hands as the measuring tool. You might not be at a desk, maybe you're at a table, so use your hands to measure how many hands long is your table. Or maybe you're working on the floor, so how many hands long is your floor? When you get to number 12, tell me where you're working. If you're working at a desk or a table or a floor or a patio chair or on your balcony, then I'll be able to tell how your measurement should be. Record your answer for how many hands long is your table or your workspace right now on number 12. We're halfway through. We're only going to 24. Remember, 12 plus 12 is 24. 13, if you need to pause, anytime pause. 13 says you need to weigh your cat. Which of the following would be the best to weigh him against? So we did some capacity, we did a lot of length, and now we're looking at some weight. So imagine at the size of a cat, how heavy is a cat? Would it be best to use A, a small rock, so you'd have to have many small rocks. B, a car, like a real outside car. Or C, a small pillow. What would be the best thing to use to measure your cat? Decide what letter matches your answer, and you're going to write that right here on number 13. Question 14 says measure the length of your foot from your heel to your big toe in Unifex cubes. From your heel to your big toe. So you might want to have somebody help you, or you might want to have somebody trace your foot on a piece of paper so you can do that. Or you might find your traced foot from when we did it much earlier in our unit. And you're going to tell me what you used. You might not have Unifex cubes at home. So at 14, you tell me beads or blocks or dominoes or whatever it is, or pencils or crayons that you used to measure your foot and how many you measured. 15 says your teacher wants to know how long her bookcase is. Well, you can't measure my bookcase because we're not at school. So can you find a bookcase in your house to measure? Decide if you would use A, crayons, B, your feet, or C, a Unifex cube to measure the bookcase. What would measure it the fastest? Write your answer down on number 15. I'm a little crooked here. I'll just straighten up my page. Number 16 says, Skyla needs a haircut. The hairdresser wants to know how much to cut off. That's an important question. What number of Unifex cubes should Skyla tell her? Does Skyla want to, remember a Unifex cube's about that big, does Skyla want to get 40 Unifex cubes cut off, 5 Unifex cubes cut off, or 100 Unifex cubes cut off her hair? So Unifex cube's about as big as that first bend in your finger. Write your answer, A, B, or C, on number 16. Pause anytime you need to, my friends, or read the questions yourself, and you can just keep going. Number 17 says cheetahs are fast runners. In order to measure how far one has run, what tool should you use to measure the distance ran? So if you're measuring a cheetah started running from here and how far away did he stop, would it be good to use Unifex cubes, A, B, pencils, or C, chairs? What would be your biggest unit of measurement to use to measure how far a cheetah can run? Decide your answer, A, B, or C, and write it on number 17. Number 18 says measure your thumb with paper clips. Now remember, a paper clip's about this long, but you might not have a paper clip at home. So my thumb goes from where it comes in and out here at this bottom knuckle. I would probably start here and measure. You use whatever tool you have at home for measuring, and then on 18 you're going to write down what tool you use to measure. So if you use beads or blocks or pencils, then measure your thumb with paper clips and put your answer down on the sheet. We're on our very last page, my friends. So question number 19 says measure a floor tile in paper clips. Record the answer on your sheet. Now again, you might not have paper clips, so when you write down your answer for number 19, tell me what you used to measure with. You might not have a floor tile in your house. If your house doesn't have floor tiles, maybe there's a piece of wood on the floor in your house, or maybe you could measure a bath mat in your house or a small carpet in your house. If you don't have a tile floor and you can't find a tile to measure, please write down what you did measure and what you used to measure it with when you put your answer down for 19. Number 20 says a carpenter needs to lay carpet in your house. He wants to know how much to lay. What should he use to measure the rooms? So think about how big a room is. Do you think it would be good to use a Unifex cube to measure the rooms? A pillows to measure the rooms? Or dimes to measure the rooms? And dimes are about that big, my friends. Decide what answer you think would be the fastest way to measure, and you're going to write it on number 20, A, B, or C. 21 says, Peggy the pig likes to eat twice a day. She eats out of a large bowl. What is the best way to measure out her food? So we're thinking about how much goes in the bowl. What would be the best tool or container to use for that? So we're here reviewing capacity. Should we use a bottle cap to fill her large food bowl? Letter A. A B, a small paper cup. So you're going to go to number 21 and decide if it's letter A or letter B. A bottle cap, or B, a small paper cup. Pause if you need to, and if not, we're going on to question 22. When measuring how long your couch is, which of the following should you use? So go take a look at your couch and decide, would it be good to use A, dimes, B, crayons, or C, pillows? Go to number 22 and write down the letter A, B, or C that matches the answer you want to give. 23 says, Penny, the 4-month-old puppy, wants a new collar. To measure how long her current collar is, what should you use? Should you use bottle caps? B, pencils, or C, pencil erasers? What do you think would be the best thing to measure a puppy collar? Now, a puppy collar is probably about that big round, but when you stretch it out, it's going to be a little bit longer. Decide what do you think would be the best tool for measuring the length of that collar, and you're going to write your answer A, B, or C down here in number 23. And your last question, my friend, number 24, measure the height of your desk in paper clips and record the answer on your sheet. Now, I know you might not have paper clips, so that's okay. You're going to say what you measured with and then how many it was. You might not even have a desk, so if you're measuring your table or you're on the floor, your answer might be 0. Tell me how high off the floor you're working at whatever surface that you're working on. I hope you enjoyed reviewing our measurements with us. And please snap a little photo of your answer sheet and send it in to me. That's going to be the end of our measurement unit. If you didn't get a chance to watch the length video, the area video, and the capacity video, go ahead and do that. They're really cute. Have a wonderful Thursday.